Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us today at INCIBE and particularly at this roundtable moderated by myself, by ISMS Forum. I will now invite the speakers to come up on stage and discuss for a while about something which is really relevant in the world of cybersecurity and that affects us all in our businesses, although this is not the only challenge, of course. I would like to call on stage Marian Blanque. She is a representative of the DPO office in Abertis. Also Fanny Pérez, she's a CISO of Gloab of Codere. Olga Forné, CSIO of Mediapro, and Óscar Sánchez, CSIO at Puig. Please take a seat. Welcome. Okay, digital transformation then. Obviously, the pace of technology and digital services at all businesses, here we have a representation of several companies operating in different sectors, is really a true challenge, and even more so because of the circumstances of the last year and a half due to the pandemic, which I think we will touch upon also. It may have been an accelerator or otherwise of this digital transformation and therefore the relevance of cybersecurity. But what is digital transformation at the end of the day? What is not only in all sectors or all businesses where digital transformation is the same thing or represents the same thing or is actually perceived in the same manner. So, Marian, what is your perspective of transformation and how has it impacted your vision? In Abertis Infraestructuras, this year particularly, we have 3 really important projects underway, including innovation on cybersecurity and sustainability. We have focused ourselves very much on cybersecurity and innovation in cross-sectional projects, because regardless of the fact that digital transformation for IT, with the developments, adaptations, everything that our colleagues have been talking about so far during the COVID period, access to applications, etc. What we want to do is develop innovation from within the business. So in Abertis Infraestructuras, we are cooperating, just to give you an example, we are cooperating with IBM on a 3-year project where we are developing technology and predictive models so as to focus ourselves and provide better services to our customers with regard to roads and road use. So digital transformation there is being adapted to new technologies, using new technologies towards improving roads. So we are talking about communications infrastructures. Fanny, your world is something else. Yes, totally different. What is your mission? Well, our vision, rather, is we have a common denominator, and it is about facilitating businesses the possibility of moving faster and to be able to recover from a year's pandemic. That is the common denominator with us. But in Codere, we are having a strong strategy for a journey to cloud. This is the fundamental point of our transformation point. This is going to give us greater swiftness, developing more services in less time, and not necessarily at a lesser cost, but with a lot of swiftness. And an important piece of all this is cybersecurity, because now more than ever, providing services on the cloud, you have to incorporate security measures where in traditional security were not necessarily using those technologies, or those technologies rather weren't not necessarily available. So we need to ensure that journey to cloud by ensuring that our services, the information about our customers does comply with the acceptable security requirements. And since we are a highly regulated company, we need to ensure that we comply with all the regulatory requirements, which are different in each country, and these requirements have to be put on the cloud. So basically that's it. So we're talking about more tangible assets. In your case, your assets are more intangible, more information, less infrastructure, less tangible infrastructure, if you like. So how do you look at it? We, at Mediapro, we are focusing very much on innovation, and specifically on virtual reality and artificial intelligence for the development of new platforms and the knowledge of what customers want and where we can get, both from a production point of view and in the development of video games. Mediapro, when you think about Mediapro, you think about films and large productions or football. But it is true that in football we are cooperating with the Spanish league, La Liga, which is very close and strong. We have very nice and cool projects, which you will see very soon. And then for video games, which is another large and stronger sector and which is growing, we are investing particularly on trying to see where the users are going, what things they like more and what things they like less, and developing video games which kind of self-develop. What about manufacture? Well, manufacture has to be expanded and improved. At the end of the day, what we do is we try to take innovation to the final customers in order to digitalize all what we call sensory experiences. We sell makeup and similar products, so all the innovation is being channeled towards how to digitalize all those experiences. And obviously there you have your customers, so you have to provide them with security, speed, and you have the packaging, etc. You mentioned innovation, and we have mentioned that word because this is one of the drivers behind our digital transformation. So we are transformed because, well, there is no other way. When we do want to innovate, we use innovation per se. When we must innovate, we have to adapt. So in this pandemic, we had no other option, but it has led to us being more innovative, and it has somehow accelerated all these processes. So at this point in time, after this year and a half, after the stress on all the cycles, what are the CSIOs doing at your companies? Before you answer this question, I would like to share with you some work that has been done with members of SMIS. This is the work of the Cybersecurity Observatory, something which has been done with some of the members of this organization, and to have been leading this observatory so as to provide this current and updated vision about what the CSIOs are working on the market. This is something that will be submitted and presented, but we already have some conclusions since you are working directly on this project. Well, we have had a representative sample of CSIOs from across Spain, and we have asked them a set of questions related specifically with the kind of businesses they work, whether they are in a regulated or unregulated sector, the number of people or workers in their companies, the number of professionals, whether they are more or less mature from a technological viewpoint. Then they asked them a series of questions related to the pandemic, because we have all been affected by this, and on the basis of the preliminary results that we have, one of the issues that we were more surprised about is the fact that 38% of companies report that they are currently mature in terms of security, and out of the sample, 38 to 40% are regulated businesses, so that's all fine. However, 50% of all the companies who took part in this sample, you have to think that the profile of the people responding are CSIOs. So most of the respondents are CSIOs. There were some CFOs and CEOs also, but most of them were CSIOs. 50% said that their level of maturity when it comes to security was very low, and this is worrying indeed. And from across the industries or sectors who reported that they are better, we have the financing sector, the manufacturing and industrial sector, and the telecom sector, which are, again, sectors which are highly regulated, where a lot of investment has been put in. And the respondents who declared or reported that their level was lesser. They are normally distribution, communications and media. The sector where I belong is not very much regulated. Also, the distribution sector does not have a lot of regulation, and it is therefore difficult to push ahead with these initiatives. And now Óscar will give you a hint about what happened and what changes we have seen during the pandemic.
There was a set of specific questions about the pandemic, and it's funny because the evolution of resources during the pandemic has increased has increased in 14% and has decreased in 51%. So very few companies have seen their resources decrease. And then also there was a question about the perception of cyber threats. 70% thought that cyber attacks have been increased. So this is significant. And then another interesting piece of data that we like the evolution of the interest on cybersecurity by the top management. And here 81% believe that the top management is now more worried about cybersecurity. They ask more questions, they are more aware, more concerned. And 50% where it is equal. So it's a residual percentage of people where they think that the top management worries less during the pandemic. Yeah, well, there are fast conclusions that we can draw here. Marian, did it help? Did the pandemic help to increase the visibility of cybersecurity? I think it had helped because the threats were there. I don't think the threats increased, but the setting has changed because people were at home and they were willing to know, to look for information, to know more about vaccines, and they were online all the time, and you lose that protection barrier that you have in a professional environment when you're at the office. We're at Abertis, are very mobile. We travel a lot. Everyone has their own laptop, so all our systems are pretty adapted to working remotely. So our level of maturity is relatively good. It is not perfect, but we are doing well. But we provide service to critical infrastructure, so we have to work on that. So we have been it has been beneficial for us because the risk vulnerability has become visible. It's true that in our case, some projects have been accelerated. The connection of some employees using Teams, that has been accelerated because of the pandemic, and we have been making progress, and projects that were planned for later have been anticipated, and we have got funding. Yeah, that's leverage. Yes, you were mentioning regulation. Yeah, we are on this side. We are more regulated. You're less regulated. Fanny, in your sector, you have a lot of regulation. So the handicap of regulation, where some sectors felt more mature. Yeah, the regulations affected them more, but in your case, your sector is very regulated, and the pandemic have both concepts helped you or not? Yes, undoubtedly. Yes, regulation is an accelerator. Help us to have more power, to ask for more budget. Regulation is good and welcome if the reading is positive. Yeah, it's true that it generates a lot of administrative tasks, but obviously it is relevant if we are able to make the most of it. And about COVID, I think it has left us in a way we have needed to convert ourselves in our roadmap. We had many initiatives that we were going to do in 3 years, and we had to anticipate those initiatives. The double factor of authentication, that is a project that we had, so it became a necessity. So it's true that the COVID has been the engine of the acceleration for companies. In a year, we have transformed ourselves. There was no other way. We are looking at technological solutions that help you to manage all your environments. So no matter what the information is or the protection of a data center, we need to get protection. We need to be protected. And we need to manage all that to make the management more simple and making our operation more simple too. So the reading is positive, and those two factors have helped us, and that is in line with what my colleagues were saying. The level of 40% of companies are mature, but there is a small percentage where there is still work to be done. But yeah, the pandemic has helped us improve our capacities. So those two factors have helped us advance. We have done the work we had planned for 3 years in one. I think your company, Olga, should have become a critical service, because soccer was stopped. Yeah. But going a bit more into the subject. So how are you going to do to maintain that level of activity? How are you going to close that gap? How are you going to gain on maturity? How are you going to play the ball? Well, with the lockdown and crisis, etc., we needed to reinvent ourselves, and we have identified new risks, or risks that were not sufficiently valued are now more visible. So now the setting has changed. We needed to increase the speed, and the top management is now even more aware, and we are lucky in our group because our top management is very aware on cybersecurity, but now even more. There are other areas, the intermediary levels are also convinced, and they've seen that we provide support, that we are just not creating problems, that we are necessary, that our work needs to be used to create business. So by doing this, and in this sector we're going very, very fast, and we have the feeling that we need to stop a bit. So it has really helped us, yes. So I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm happy with the results. pre-pandemic, there were some departments that didn't go so well, but now everyone sees that we are a vital part of the teams. Great. So up to here, everything's good. Yeah. So top management awareness. I think any executive, well, I mean, they're worried about cybersecurity, but they don't know what to do. And then there's the second step, Óscar. We are all very worried. Management wants results, but how do we deal with resources, funding, etc.? So, but you normally ask for a business case. So, what are you going to do? How are we going to be more resilient? So, how are you doing now? What's your case? Well, we try to focus on being taking and tackling this subject naturally. The pandemic has been an accelerator, and if the top management was already convinced, now they see that the risks are real, very real, and they are worried about that, and that helps you to make your work easier. They trust what you say, and very often we needed to almost beg developers, and now they call you, and they are creating a project, and they call you, and they count on you. They want to do it in a secure way. So if you include all that in the cocktail, and it helps strengthen your business case. You have your resources, you have benefits, etc. Yes, just one question. We are running out of time. Very simple question for next year to all of you. More budget, more resources, yes or no? Yes, more budget, more resources, hopefully, yes. Yeah, it has already been mentioned, security needs to involve more control, more usability for users. We are very strict about cybersecurity, but it needs to be easy for the user as well. Yeah, hopefully more budget, yes. Yes, more budget, more resources, and more integration. Yes, undoubtedly, that is the key and the way. Yeah, once the budget is spent out, let's see. Well, we'll see what we have to do. The C-level commitment that we have is very, very important, and we are going to keep on making progress. And we cannot be on the margin, on the wall setting. How many attacks does Spain receive? So that also helps us. That helps companies to invest. Yes. In our case, more budget, and I'm very happy to say that other departments also request budget for us, for subject related to us. They tell you you don't need to ask for it because I will ask for it. Yeah, so more technology, yes, but integrated, yes. In our case, our plan aims to align to be plans aims to be aligned with the budget, and the budget needs to be aligned with development and with the protection of our assets. Yes, so we are finishing now. Yeah, so on top of making providers happy, there is one important thing. With money, Money is very useful, but on cybersecurity it is not really the key, because the involvement of the rest of the company to the digital model and the business model is like that. We need to adjust ourselves to them. And there is another lesson learned, to have a look at the study of the observatory, and I invite you to attend the presentation of SMS Forum. Thank you very much for being here today. Thank you all being here. Yes, one of the last of the event. Thanks very much.